Okay, what is going on, everybody? It is Halomcr, and man, we are here today with some solar flare action. So for those that have been living under a rock, or maybe not necessarily living under a rock, maybe you just don't keep up with the planets and the sun and everything else for that matter, and normally I do and I don't, but in recent times, I mean every other day on my Google News feed on my phone that I get, usually it inspires a lot of these articles. Well, in recent times, there has been so much talk about the sun, and its activity has been a lot more unprecedented in recent times. And normally the sun will go through these cycles where, it gets a little bit active. And active, I mean that these freckle-like sunspots will develop on the sun, and they're like little tiny black spots, which at first, they don't look that big. But when you imagine how big the sun really is, I mean, it's like, I don't know, this is just an inaccurate example. It's like putting like 20 Earths together, right? Like 20 Earths together, right? This spot is a lot bigger than we think it is, and these spots tend to be cool spots or something like that, and they shoot out these coronal mass ejections out of these holes that essentially shoot out gamma rays and things like that. And these gamma rays come at Earth sometimes, right? They'll come at Earth going at the speed of light, that these radiation blasts are coming at us. And we only have about a minute to 2 to 3 minutes before they hit us, right? All the way from the sun, they hit us. And we don't know how to really stop this from happening. It's just a natural phenomena that happens with the sun. But in recent times, there's been several sunspots, several types of activity happening, like on a certain aspect of the sun. Apparently, in the sun rotating like it does, which is a slow rotation, I believe, is now facing Earth. Okay, and scientists are very concerned. I don't think this means that it's the end of the world. I don't think that this means the sun's blowing up yet. We have another 5 billion years that they think before the sun becomes a problem. But we'll be dead by then. Anyway, so in recent time, the sunspots are facing more towards the Earth now, which you can imagine is going to cause a bunch of shit to happen. And I'm talking just blackouts, electronical interferences, things like that. It's going to cause those kind of problems. And, scientists are just very concerned. And I have an article for you guys talking about that. But remember, this has just been in recent times that these sunspots have now been just facing towards Earth a lot more than they were before. And also the sun is going through an awkward phase right now where it's just becoming unpredictable right now for a little tiny bit, or at least I guess until 2025. So here we go. Trending right now, solar flares will cause problems on Earth through 2025, NASA says. The sun has been very active lately, which could cause a few problems for us here on Earth, according to NASA. While the solar cycle is not yet at its peak, the space agency said activity has already surpassed predictions. Keyword already surpassed predictions, meaning that we don't know. We don't know what the sun's going to do now. Their predictions aren't as accurate as we think they are, because apparently it's surpassed their predictions. Solar flares and eruptions will likely increase from now until 2025 as we reach solar maximum, writes Nicole Fox, the director of NASA Helophysics Division. During the sun's natural 11-year-old cycle, the sun shifts from relatively calm to stormy, then back again, says Fox. As it is most active, called solar maximum, the sun is freckled with sunspots, and it's a magnetic pole reverse. That sort of solar activity has impacts here on Earth. It could disrupt national tools like GPS, cause blackouts and problems with the power grids. When it's already hot as it is, and we're using the most electricity that we are using during this time of the year just because of how hot it is, we're using more of the AC, we're using more electricity, it's putting strain on the power grids all around. I mean, I'm sure I don't have to tell you guys that, but I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, we are using more, in my opinion, we are using more electricity during this summer's heat wave. radio communication issues, strong solar flares, which are basically intense bursts of radiation that come out of the sunspots, and they're just like, they're just crazy, dude. If you guys ever look that up and see for yourself, they're absolutely insane. And that kind of energy is being blasted at Earth even more than it was before. Can the Earth's atmosphere and magnetic waves actually handle that type of pressure, and for how long? And what happens if our magnetic stratosphere goes out? Let's just say it takes too much of a beating and it just decides to go out. That means we're all going to get blasted with radiation and we're all going to die. I mean, I don't know if that's going to happen because I'm not a physicist. I can't say the word. Like, I'm not a person that does research on the solar system and the magnetic fields. You know, I don't know. I really don't know how much pressure we can handle. But if that was to collapse, we'd just get blasted with radiation. Can cause radio communication issues, strong solar flares, which are basically intense bursts of radiation. Could also create health risks for astronaut, issues for spacecraft, and potentially create concerns about the health of flight crews and passengers on airplanes. Well, yeah, because if their navigation system goes out, that plane's gonna crash. So this could potentially be devastating and life-threatening towards people that are flying airplanes. You know what I mean? This is a big problem. And that's why we need to have an alternative to other than electricity to guide us in the right directions. We might be going back to the ages where they used compasses and maps in order to navigate where we're going correctly. You know what I mean? That's just all there is to it. Because eventually, I mean, I predict that the Earth is only going to be able to handle it. And this is supposed to be happening ongoing, off and on, till 2025. Okay, so we have a few more years of this happening before we're even out of this. At 7:09 p.m. last Sunday, satellites detected an explosion on the sun, a long-lasting eruption of a C93 class solar flare. According to professional astronomer and science writer Tony Phillips, website spaceweather.com, which monitors solar activity, the intensity is probably an understatement because it was partially eclipsed by the edge of the sun. NASA Solar Dynamics Observer saw hot debris flying away from the blast site. The site reported on Monday, Earth is not in the line of the fire. The explosion is significant because it may herald an active region set to emerge over the sun northeastern limb later this week. A new sunspot group could bring an end to weeks of relative quietness. While we'll likely see more solar flares and resulting complications as we approach to 2025, there's no need to fear a doomsday scenario, which is basically what I was saying. I don't think we're going to die because of this. I don't think that we have to worry as much as you think we do. But keep in mind that the next few years, it's going to be a game of Russian roulette. Which solar flare is going to fuck us up that bad to where the power is going to go out and people might die in airplanes. So I hate to say it, but you might want to cancel that flight to Hawaii at least for a few more years. Unless you want to take the chance of a solar flare hitting us at any point of time to where the airplane's going to be in extreme danger. And not to mention the war with Russia and China and everything else that's ongoing with that. There could be a scenario where we need to have our equipment working and China gets done bombing us, or whoever is going to fucking fuck us, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And we don't have our equipment working at that exact moment in time. That leaves us even more vulnerable than anything else, which is just bad around already with the times where they're heading. Some people worry that a gigantic killer solar flare could hurl enough energy to destroy Earth, but this is not actually possible, NASA explains. Plus, solar cycles repeat every 11 years. That means anyone over the age of 11 has already lived through a solar maximum and probably didn't even notice its occurrence. Right. No, absolutely. So that's our first one, but check this one out. NASA shares spectacular photo of rare cosmic event to be seen in the next 2117. Oh, let's take a look at this. Open this up in a new tab. Look at this. Look how big this hole is. You guys know how big the sun is. Look how big this hole is. That is not good. That is really not good. I don't think this is a good thing. I could maybe understand, like, there's a sunspot right there, and there's like one right there and right there. There's a couple little ones. But the fact is, look how big this is. Why is this so big? And that's probably, honestly, on the grand scale of things, that's probably just as big as the Earth is. That's how big this hole is, okay? It's ginormous. And it doesn't look that big, but is it gonna grow? Is it gonna stagnate? What is it gonna do? Why is it so big? That's what I want to know. So that's what that's what my main concern is. It's not about right now or in the next few years. It's about what the hell this means in the next 100 years. National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, has treated space enthusiasts and others to a magnificent picture of a rare cosmic event shared on NASA's official Instagram page. The photo is of the transit of Venus across the face of the sun. She was one of the rare ones, so effortlessly herself and the world would love her for it. The captions read alongside the picture. NASA wrote that it was clicked a decade ago by Solar Dynamics Observatory SDO, explaining the phenomenon. NASA shared that solar transits are a planet's passage across the sun's face as seen by Earth's perspective. That's just crazy. That's just insane. That's why I'm saying, like, space and everything else is just so fascinating. I love anything that has to do with space. It scares me because it's like that hole is a lot bigger than what you guys are thinking. Like, again, I mean, I've already emphasized it plenty of times, but the fact is that this hole might be the size of Earth. Realistically speaking, it could be the size of Earth. And that's why it looks that small, but it's actually big. You know what I mean? And then look at the waves off here, the radiation. That amount of radiation is insane. Like, literally is mind-boggling insane. And that's what keeps us alive. Scientists have also even said if there was a way for us to get a giant metal spoon inside the sun and stir it around, that it could that could actually bring the sun back to life. The problem is that a lot of its ingredients and its compounds and chemicals and isotopes, and I don't know. I'm just throwing out random ingredients as an example, but the hydrogen, all the chemicals that are inside the sun that make it the way it lasts, like a burning furnace, like a torch, they need to be stirred around to keep it refreshed and revitalized. And we have no way of doing this. And some have even speculated that if we were somehow able to crash a star into it, that might be enough to mix it around. But that also puts us at risk of not knowing what that could cause. So somehow in the next 5 billion years, we need to figure out how to stir the sun's ingredients around like a cocktail drink, essentially, because all the old chemicals are burning out and they're just stagnating. They're not doing anything except just sitting there. So, you know, it's like essentially when you get water dirty and you have to filter it, we have to somehow filter out all the excess waste that's left over from the sun. But there's no way to do this. It's impossible. It is literally impossible for us to get close enough to the sun without burning on fire. I don't think anything can even withstand that. The only other thing that I could think that might work is asteroid farming. Somehow make some kind of mechanism out of the asteroid material, out of some kind of material that can withstand the sun, would be our best bet. And then to lodge it straight into the sun. And I'm not saying blow it up, but I'm saying create enough wind force, enough of some kind of force to push all these things around and swirl it all together. Essentially, you send in a bomb. It doesn't blow it up though. What it does is it creates some kind of pressure to where it swirls it around like a giant blender. Thus far might be a way to extend the life of the sun by another 5 billion years or whatever, but who knows what that could cause. I don't know the long-term effect of what that would do to us, but that would be one way of going about it, in my opinion. Basically, a transit is said to occur when an object crosses in front of another in space. Besides the solar transits of Mercury and Venus, another example of transit is when the moon passes between the Earth and the sun. Here, the moon transits the sun, and a phenomena also called a solar eclipse, as NASA has said. It added that only transits that can be observed are that of Mercury and Venus, which makes the event a rare one. According to the space agency, solar transits of Venus occur in Paris over 100 years of gap between them. Hence, the next solar transit of Venus is not to be seen in the next 100 years. The last time such a rare event took place was in 2004 and 2012, and it will now be witnessed in the year 2021-17. In 2012, the solar transit lasted about 7 hours and could be observed worldwide from all 7 continents. While the cosmic occurrence is a treat to the eyes for many, NASA shared it also helped astronomers in their research. Solar transits assist the astronomers in studying the atmospheric composition of orbit of planets. The SDO, responsible for capturing the events monitored the sun continuously and measures its atmospheric and magnetic field while examining the core of the closest star to us. So there you guys have it. You're probably going to be seeing a lot about the sun in recent times, but rest assured, I think we're going to be fine. But again, it's not now that I'm worried about. It's in the next 100 to 200 years. Scientists are already saying that they aren't predicting things right. So science isn't even fucking right. And they're the almighty science that says that they know it all. Well, apparently they don't. Apparently they're just as unsure as we are. They can give us an estimate. Sure, they can give us an estimate. They can guess, and their guesses are pretty goddamn good. But even they don't seem to quite know what's going on with the sun right now. And that's calls for alarms of concern. As I would say, first it was the coronavirus. Now it's monkeypox. Now it's the goddamn sun. It almost seems like we're just fucked in general. But I have faith. I don't think it's our time to go yet. I think that we are just in an awkward position, all of us. And that we need to hold down the fort. And we need to be positive. We need to try to live life the best that we possibly can and to the fullest. And make every day something new and different and exciting. So I truly believe that. But also, this has been your guys' research on the sun. I will see you guys in our next content video. I appreciated everybody that has been hanging on with me through our slowdown times as they are coming to an end soon. And I mean really soon. We just got to get some more stuff figured out on my end. But it's all good. I'm not going anywhere, and neither should you guys, I would hope. But with that said, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Be sure to leave a like on the video, comment, subscribe, comment anything, even if it has to do with the sun. Maybe you can explain some things that I gapped out on or I missed. Now, if it's things talking about my pronunciation on words and how I botched some things, I'd rather not hear it, because I know I'm not the best reader. But at the same time, this stuff does fascinate me, and I hope that it does to you guys as well, and you gain some kind of knowledge from this. Anything is all that I had hope at the end of the day. I'll see you guys later, and thank you guys so much for tuning in.